It made me realize that I'm not okay with what happened to me in the past, but I'm getting better. Welcome back, book lovers. It's Lady Lauren Explorer, and I'm gonna start off with this is my October spooky season TBR, and the first book I read, I don't want to refilm it, so please don't mind the quality of the video. Let's just jump into it. Let's just do spooky season wrap up. Starting with a book that I DNF'd because it was horrible. Black Chalk by Christopher J. Yates. I'm gonna link a video about someone who's just describing the book, and you'll understand why I didn't want to read this. I think I picked this up because someone said that this was a horrible academia book. Dark academia book. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna give it a try. And it was like $3, so why not? This is horrible. I couldn't even get past 7 pages because I didn't understand what was going on. I was trying to figure out how this was numbered, because there's no chapters. It's just dots and slashes. And then you just go on to a different page. And I'm just like, I don't know. And then what? Okay. But anyways, this is so confusing. Then when someone finally explained, because they actually read the whole entire book, which, I'm more proud of them for doing that, because I didn't. I'm not into this book. I don't want to read this book. I don't care about this book. This book was just so fucking garbage. And I didn't even read it. So this is from someone else's point of view. And I think I kind of trust them because I didn't like it. And you should neither. On to my next book. So, with that book being garbage, I wanted to choose something else. So I got my roommate to read all of my other TBR reads. And I told her to choose the next book based off the first sentence in the book. And she chose The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. In this book, we follow Jake Livingston, who is a queer Black boy in a predominantly white prep school. Very preppy. The only Black people are him and his brother out of 1,000 students. So, during this storyline, we find out that Jake can see the other world. He sees spirits, ghosts, ghouls, goblins, demons. He just sees it all. And he is living in this world while also trying to be a student. We find out that there's a spirit who used to be a very psychotic spirit, or psychotic person in real life. Some crazy things happen to that spirit in his real life. And his name is Sawyer. Sawyer had a traumatic experiences when he was younger, when he was in his teens, before he did what he did. And that led him to doing what I'm about to tell you, which is he's a school shooter. I truly, I hate his mother. Sawyer's mother she needs to be put in jail. She needs to be put in jail. I hate her to a passion. You'll find out why if you read this book, but yeah. Disgusting. A disgusting human being. But beside the point, because Sawyer did do what he did, which, again, he was a school shooter. And then he killed himself. So Sawyer starts hunting Jake. Jake is a medium. So Sawyer knows that he can possess Jake and live through Jake. And that's the whole point of this book, is him trying to live through Jake by bringing him down mentally so he can just give up his body. Know that the answer to this, to winning against this evil, I've learned that since I was young. And it's great how like he brings that back into the storyline, because like I was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah. I've learned that like from my grandparents, and from my uncles and aunts who are like church going people. Yeah, like, yeah. It was just so good. It was so good because like it's having to do with his ancestors. It was just, I was happy about that. I gave this book a 4.5, mainly because this was supposed to be a thriller, and I know this is a YA category, but it wasn't as thrilling as I expected it to be, but it was still a good book. So yes, this is a great story, because again, I would have never thought about this, and I'm so glad that Ryan Douglas is creating this, because it's just so good. So good. But I'm going to go on to my next book, which I finished this morning, and that is How We Fall Apart by Katie Zhao. This is the first of the, I think, How We Fall Apart series, and I was going to tell you this is a 5. I'm going to tell you why it's a 5, obviously, because like, okay, in mystery novels, you're supposed to like try to figure out who the killer is, or who is doing all of the mysterious things that make you look really creepy. In this one, I was really trying to figure it out. Like, I was just like throwing out ideas. Who could this be? And I could not. I didn't like, I had 3 people and they weren't even 3 people. I didn't even know who. Like, I was so surprised when the plot twist came in. I was like, what? What? Huh? So yeah, that's why it's a 5. Because like, I did not know who it was. And it was great. Okay, so let's just get into like the plot line of the story so you can figure out why I'm so surprised. We're following one person, but the story is about 4 people in total. So there's Jamie, who is the queen bee of the whole entire school. Then there's Nancy, who is, these other 4 are her ex-best friends, mind you. So then there's Nancy, who's her BFF, whose mother is a maid for Jamie's family. Then there's Aquila. I don't know how to pronounce his name, sorry. And he is a track star. Then you have Alexander, who's also a scholarship student, because Nancy's a scholarship student. Then you have Crystal, who is a volunteer. She's a queen of volunteering and also a volleyball star. Okay, so those are her 4 ex-best friends. Jamie's killed, and there's this person called the Protector who starts incriminating these 4 individuals as her killers. And if they don't fess up to something they did 2 years ago, then the Protector is going to expose all of their secrets. And they have some really big secrets, and some secrets I was just like, But again, they're at this like really intense school where people are very, very into grades and like reputation, and they're going to Ivy League colleges, because majority, when I say majority, I mean like 99.9% of the people in this school are going to Ivy League college who graduate. They're all the creme de la creme of their society, because this is in New York. And their secrets are getting exposed one by one. And some of their secrets are like really big, and some of them I'm like, I was just like, does it really matter? But okay. And they're trying to figure out who the person is. They're also sometimes like, the synopsis says that like one of them basically incriminated them too. Like, did one of them kill Jamie? And I was just like, okay, so one of them probably did. And then in the book, we find out like they don't even think one of them did. So I was just like, what? How did like is not one of them doing it? It was just really, I was like, wow, okay. That's another reason why I was just like, okay, like no one's just like, the group doesn't suspect anybody in the group. Why? But there's a reason why. So I guess, yeah. But what really got my tickled me is there is a scene near the ending where we find out something that has to do with Jamie's cousin Peter. Peter and Nancy are the person we're following, have this tension because they're together somewhat. And I know this is like a spoiler, but this book leaves you on a cliffhanger because there's something about Peter's time in their school. I think it's called St. Clair, whatever. That's huge. Like, will damage everything. And I want to know. And it leaves you on a cliffhanger because I really want to know. I'm like, what's the secret? She knows the secret. What is it? And I can't wait for this number 2 to come out because I'm just like, what's the secret? What is it? But it's so good. Again, and I didn't know who the person was, the killer. I didn't know who they were. I was shocked when I found out who it was because I was just like, what? What? But yeah, this is so good. So please read. And that leads us to my next book. Let's go. So I finished this book, and it's A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I read this for a read-along with Crockett, and I read it from October 4th to the 12th, and the 12th was yesterday. It's my birthday, so I'm a year older. Yes. Anyways, I didn't like this book. I gave it 2 stars, mainly because I went into this book thinking it's one thing, and it wasn't. There is no creepiness. There is no mystery, really. There's no elements of huge surprises. I didn't get, I could read this in my room playing creepy music and I won't get scared. I won't feel paranoid about reading this book. And that's what I thought this book was going to give me. I thought this book was going to be about paranormal, the demons and spirits, and it's not. So let's just get into the plot. We follow Felicity, who is coming back to Dalloway house in her school from a leave of absence for a year. 2 years ago, her best friend, who was secretly her girlfriend, had tragically passed away. So she was dealing with all of that. Then when she comes back, she meets Ellis. And Ellis is this world-renowned writer. She's been writing since she was little. She's been published since she was 15. She has won all these awards for writing. And she's now writing this new book about the Dalloway house. And the Dalloway house is a coven. It was the first coven of their school. Because at this house, they called Dalloway 5, they were witches. there is some type of attraction between Ellis and Felicity, and you start seeing that very early on in the book. And that attraction leads to a lot of things. I can't tell you without spoiling anything. I didn't like it. It just wasn't for me. But let's just go on to the next book. So I have my next book. I literally finished reading like maybe an hour ago. And that is How She Died, How I Lived by Mary Crockett. Crockett. This book, going into it, I thought it was going to be like a very intense book thriller-wise. Because again, it's How She Died, How I Lived. It was just so like compelling, and I just kept turning the page because I was trying to figure out why I wanted to keep reading this. And I realized why I wanted to keep reading it. Mainly because I don't have survivor's guilt, but I do have trauma in my past that happened because I was in the military, and I'm not over it, but I feel guilty for a lot of the things that I could have prevented myself. That if I had did what I thought I could do, a lot of stuff wouldn't have happened to me. And she's going through almost the same thing as what I was thinking when I really reflected on this. So it was just good. This is a 5 out of 5 for me, mainly because, again, I had to keep reading for my own peace of mind. And it made me realize that I'm not okay with what happened to me in the past. But I'm getting better. So 5 out of 5 for me. On to the next book. Hopefully this one is actually a scary one. So the next book that is on my Spooky Season TBR is by Ash Parsons, and it's You're So Dead. This book follows 3 girls, but the narrator is our only, we only have our narrator's point of view, which is Plum. Plum has taken her influencer sister's invitation to this thing called Fire Island, or Pyre Island. I think it's Fire Island. Fire Festival. There you go, that one. Which is a felony. And there's supposed to be it's supposed to be the Fire Festival. It's supposed to be DJs, influencers, and all this kind of stuff. Actually, almost exactly like the real Fire Festival, just in the book form. When they get there, obviously it's not like the Fire Festival. It is like the Fire Festival. There are only them on the island, them and a couple other influencers. And then there is like a very ruined-like villa. And everyone's trying to figure out why they were on this island and all that kind of stuff and try to get off the island. But as they start to, figure out what's going on, one by one, they all start dying. They all try to figure out what they all have in common, which is someone in their group is killing them. So they have to figure out who is killing them, and also who is why. And then we're following our main character, Plum, because again, she stole her sister's invitation, and there's a twist because it's kind of funny how it comes about. It's really funny, and I was just like, wait, what? What is this book? I was like, okay, whatever. And then they tell us who the killer is, and then they promptly was like, oh wait, I'm the killer. And then I was just thinking, I was like, no, they're the killer. No, I'm not doing this with you. They're the killer. And then I was proven right because they were the killer. I was like, oh my gosh, So, let me rate this book. I give it a 2. Straight to the deuces. It's going out of here. This was kind of mediocre to me. I didn't like the storyline. It has rep in it. But let me tell you how horrible. I think it was like almost pandering to the Alliance. Our main character, Plum, she's bisexual. It's talked about for, I think, a paragraph in the beginning of the book. And then it's promptly forgotten about, which I'm okay with because this is supposed to be a murder mystery book. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect her to find romance when there's about to be all out of death happening on this island. And it all happens in 2 days. 2 or 3 days. I think 2 or 3 days. Then it's promptly brung up again at the end of this book. The last 15 or 10 pages is probably brought up again when we find out something about her friends. And then it's just shown away because of something so absolutely ridiculous in this ending. And I was just like, I can't believe I spent the whole night on this book. I can't believe I spent the whole night on this book. 2 stars. And the last book is by Stephanie Perkins, and is There Someone Inside Your House? This tells a story of a girl who is biracial. She's Black and Native Hawaiian, and she came from Hawaii to Nebraska for some reason. And they tell you about it in the book. But it's a very, it's a reason. When I found out about it, I was like, what? Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. But yeah, she comes from Hawaii to Nebraska because her parents shipped her off to live with her grandmother because of what happened to her in Hawaii. Or Kauai. Anyways, so she's been in Nebraska for a year. She has friends. And it's senior year, and one by one, her senior class just starts dying in very gruesome ways. And what's crazy is we get the people's point of views as they die. So there's like hints at who you think the killer is because you finally like get that point of view of the person who's the victim who's about to die. And this book it's leading you somewhere, and then it promptly just takes you a different place. Because I was like, wait, is this leading me to think this person is? Because this is like leading me there. And I'm like almost halfway in, and it's still leading me to this person. And I'm just like, wait, that couldn't be. It's not. And then it promptly just like takes me somewhere else. And then it tells me, like when I say it tells me, I mean like the police know who the killer is. And then for the next 80 something pages, they're out there still killing. Like, what? You mean to tell me in 80 pages, I find out who the killer is, and then until the end of the book, they're just out there still and out doing nothing? Like, I can't find the killer? Like, what is going on? I hated the ending. It reminded me of so many, like, Halloween-y slasher endings. I just hated it. It was a 3. I will let you know that how the person killed, very gruesome. Very also unrealistic. Especially, I think it's the second one. Yeah, the second killing, very unrealistic. The fourth one, maybe. Like that fourth killing made me really think about a teenage or youth slasher film. Like that fourth one was just like peak slasher. The first one, okay, I'm gonna tell you. I thought, because they don't tell you how she actually died until a couple pages, like it's all hearsay, but a couple pages after she's died, because they have an inside source. And I kept thinking at first that she died because of an egg timer. I know. I was just like, how did an egg timer kill her? Like, was it a bomb? It's completely way off. It's like, in my Goodreads, I was like, did she die by egg timer? That's a bad way to go. Was it a bomb? It was okay, yeah, sorry. But yeah, she didn't die by egg timer, so I'm letting no one. That's a giveaway. That also happens in the first couple of pages, so it's technically not a spoiler. But yes, this is a 3-star for me. So I finished my TBR, and I had some fun times reading some of this. Again, what stood out to me was how she died, how I lived. I wasn't expecting how good that book was going to be for me and my mental health, and it was good. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys actually pick up one of these books and so we can talk about it. And if you have, comment down below if you were on the same page as me with some of these books that you've read. I mean, come on. I'm telling you. All right. I will see you guys in my next wrap up for, I don't know, November. Yeah, November, right? Yeah. I'm out of it today. I'm sorry. I will see you guys then, and I hope you guys have a wonderful and joyous day. Bye.